My name's Jason Snell, and I'm a multimedia artist. For the last 4 years, I've been working on how to turn thought into music. I use EEG headsets, analyze the data, and look for musical patterns inside of it. Those patterns get converted to MIDI, which then can control any type of synthesizer, software, drum machine, etc. And what I'm exploring with this project is using multiple EEGs on people and seeing what their collective brain does in terms of making music and generating color and light patterns. With two of the performances, when the participants are calm, the color of the light turns blue, and then when they're stressed or stimulated, the color turns red. So for the most part, the color oscillates in different shades of purple, and occasionally getting very blue or very red. So for example, when the participants are calmer, that frequency is slower, and you'll see that as sometimes a blue, slow pulse, and that represents alpha waves, which is a calm, meditative state. And then when the speed of the oscillations gets faster, that shows them moving up into a beta range, which is a more active mind or a stressed mind, and then sometimes as high as gamma, which are moments of joy or insight. Exploring multiple EEG use started with a mentorship at Iowa Big, which is an alternative project-based high school in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I worked with 4 students, and they learned how to use the EEGs, have them connect to different computers. So what they were able to do as a group was perform a song with their brains, doing live mixing with their delta waves. And then they premiered their work at CSPS, which is an art space in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. The next performance was my own work, and I was using multiple EEGs connecting to the same computer so I could compile the data, aggregate or average it, and then also looking for moments where the brains lined up or diverged from each other. The collective data became a sort of aggregate mind, which then sent MIDI commands to electron digitone, which is a FM synthesizer, and then also controlled the effects on a analog distortion pedal. That distortion would go up in moments of stress, so the sound would get more abrasive. In the multi-EEG performance, what I was having was the aggregate of the participants' minds change the color and the oscillation in the alleyway lights above the participants. And so in that sense, all of us were basked in their thoughts, in the rhythm and the tone of their thoughts. Musically, I explored different sounds that represent the different frequencies of the mind. So bassier, noisier, stress signals, more soothing, calming alpha signals, meditative, and then the chatter of the beta mind, which is the brainwave that is most active when we are talking, thinking, problem solving. There's a broad swath of people who are interested in this type of work. So it can be people who like music, like technology, psychology, neuroscience. A friend who's a microbiologist brought her cat who's named Beaker. This is part of a larger commitment that Iowa City Downtown District has to the arts, public arts, and public performances. And then the last performance was at Artifactory, which is in the basement of the Wesley Center. In the alleyway setup, the 3 participants were facing the audience and facing me. And so what I wanted to explore with the Artifactory show was to have 2 participants facing each other and exploring the intimacy of that. And then that intimacy is what comes out in the colors being projected on them and behind them, as well as the composition, the tone of the sounds and the arrangement of the sounds. To see what feelings come up, what thoughts come up with different mental states and how those get rendered as music and color.
We sat across from each other with our legs crossed on a mat. We attempted to make eye contact for the entirety of the show. I multiple times had to kind of pull inward. It was more challenging and more intimate than I expected. Angel's someone I'm very close with, so I went in very confident that I wasn't going to giggle or have too much distraction in looking at her for that extended period of time, but 20 minutes of unbroken eye contact is a lot.
The real aha moment for me is when they began to touch, and I didn't expect the data to change this quickly, but what happened was Ayla's data moved right up and met with Angel's data. I was toggling back and forth between their 2 screens, Ayla screen and Angel screen, and could see the difference throughout the whole presentation. As soon as they touched, I couldn't tell the difference between their data anymore. It seemed like this electrical circuit was being completed between them, and their brainwaves and their electricity just rose and matched each other.
It's funny, but we had compared it before, the interaction to like the ET, like finger touch, which is also sort of like an electrical moment.
What I gather from this is that coherence is something that can be induced most strongly through physical touch. More so than eye contact, more so than just being near someone, even more so than two people listening to the same music. But when two people touch, how quickly their brainwaves start to synchronize and mirror each other. My fascination with this work is exploring different states of consciousness. Consciousness is usually something that's invisible. It's something that we experience internally, but you don't see it or hear it. What this project does is it renders states of consciousness into music and color, so all of a sudden it can be observed and experienced. In many ways, this is lighting up a path for people to explore different parts of their mind. This multi-EEG project was funded by an Iowa Arts Council grant. Huge thank you to the Iowa Arts Council and the Iowa City Downtown District, Iowa City Public Arts, Iowa Big, CSPS, and Artifactory for their support of this project.